Let's talk about this. First of all, people are of the opinion that Oboe scales off of physical power. Oboe does not. Well, it does scale off of physical power. Of course, it scales off of physical power. It also. So the thing about Oboe, the wording is it's 30 damage plus 50% of your total physical power. What that means is your physical power from items and your physical power from base stats. So it's taking the number of your auto attack damage. It's 30 plus 50% of your auto attack damage. And that's pretty good. Now here's the thing. Basically, Oboe scales the exact same way as a crit, right? So like Deathbringer's 250% damage, and Oboe is more. It's 300% damage, right? Because basically when it goes off, you've got a 25% chance, and then you hit your target and it bounces 5 times. So what? Or maybe it's 350% damage. Yeah, I think it's 350. Right, because you hit your target for 100%, and then 50% on them, 50% on someone else. So that's 100, and then 50, 50, 50. So it's 350% damage total. Which means it's going to scale off of attack speed, it's going to scale off pen, it's going to scale off of power. And here's the thing. First of all, Oboe is a good item. It's the single highest DPS item in every situation at every point in the game for anyone who's trying to do damage, as long as you're considering AoE damage. If you're just talking about a single target, Oboe's irrelevant. It's bad. Don't buy it. Well, it's not bad. It's like not good. Um. So, yeah. Now, that's the fundamental problem of Vobo is that it's only AoE damage. It's not noticeable if it's single target. But here's the problem: is that physical power is by far the worst stat for hunters, and that is because of its abundance, right? So like an item like Transcendence. Transcendence is an item that primarily gives you mana and secondarily gives you physical power. Now you might argue, but Kret, it's giving me like 95 physical power. How can that be bad? Why are you saying that mana is the primary stat on it? And I'm saying that because fucking everything gives you physical power. Your boots give you physical power. Your executioner gives you physical power. A Titan's Bane gives you physical power. All three of your crit items give you physical power. Fucking everything gives you physical power. So you don't need to get Transcendence just for the power. That's like misguided thinking. Devo gloves primarily give you lifesteal and secondarily gives you physical power. Physical power is an incidental stat that you get as you buy items and you get from scaling, but is not ever something you should seek after. So, if for any reason you are playing a hunter and you go, man, I should get this item for this physical power, stop right there and don't think that because you're wrong. You shouldn't get that item for the physical power. Physical power is bad. It's not on the list of things that you should get. You should be looking for pen, attack speed, lifesteal, and other abstract utility options like Fatalis effect or like mana. But you shouldn't be looking for physical power, which is why the current hunter builds are the way they are. You go for Devos or you go for Transcendence, but you don't go for Transcendence on Devos because it's overloading your physical power and significantly reducing your damage output because attack speed is a better stat, pen is a better stat, etc. So here's the thing. If you want to buy Oboe, that's fucking awesome. Good for you. You could buy that item, and let me tell you how to do it. So first of all, you need to pick your hunter build. Now, are you using a really mana-hungry character like Ull? Then you should probably go Transcendence. Uller used like a shit ton of mana. There's no way you could sustain that with Death's Toll. Bluestone isn't enough. So go the Transcendence build. You're going to start with a Transcendence. Then you're going to go into Asi because you need lifesteal. Now you could go into a Soul Eater too if you wanted. It would give you slightly less damage, but you get some defenses, so that's cool. Then you're going to go into Boots. You can go Warrior Tabi or Ninja Tabi. It doesn't really matter, just whichever you prefer. I would probably go Ninja Tabi, but it doesn't matter. Then you're probably looking for pen. Get a Fatalis too. If you want to go fast and like be positionally accurate and increase your damage uptime, which means spending more time sticking to your targets and doing damage to like whoever you want and staying in a better position, get a Fatalis. If you think that you're the shit and you don't need that effect to do your damage and to have a good team fight, go for the Executioner. You don't want Ichaival in the trans build. And then you're thinking, well, now that I've got my Executioner, and we're going to continue to go up that tree instead of talking about the Fatalis, I'll come back to it, you're going to be like, alright, well, I want some more damage in my build, so get a Rage. Or you could get a Deathbringer. Rage first is generally considered better, but Deathbringer first is fine too. And then after your Rage, you get a Deathbringer. Or if you want for the Fatalis, you could be like, okay, I've got my Fatalis, now I want some more damage. You could go for crit. But if there's a lot of tanky people on the other team, maybe you should get an Executioner instead. That's your call. And then after that, you get your last time, you're like, okay, well now I'm just going to get a Rage. And here's the thing, I didn't mention Oboe in there. But anytime after those boots, you could just buy a fucking Oboe. Who gives a shit? It does AoE damage, it'll do that at any point in the game. So if you want an Oboe, just fucking buy it at any point. Let's talk about the Devos build. You start with Devos 1. Or like Death Soul or Bluestone. Let's say you're playing a character like Medusa. You can get a Bluestone. If you're not comfortable with the Death Soul, you can get a Bluestone and the mana regen will refund you 1 ability per wave. Which means essentially your clear is free and you only lose mana when you use any ability on top of your clear. Which is pretty cool. I think that's a good niche for Bluestone to be in. I think that's where it should be. But you could go to Death Soul too if you feel really comfortable with your mana regen. And you're going to also get Spike Gauntlet. Eventually you'll get a Devourer's Gauntlet, and that's pretty cool, and then you'll probably go into boots. I mean, you could get Warrior Tabi or Ninja Tabi, I personally don't care, and there's a negligible DPS difference between those two. After that, you're going to get an Ichaival. Now, if for some reason you're really far behind and you really just want to get your crit items, you could skip that Ichaival, but generally you want to get it because you've got the better boxing build, especially the Transcendence build, and you have an Ichaival, you're going to shit on their life. If you're ahead, probably get the Ichaival and then win lane, but hey, you don't have to get it. You could just get an Executioner. Now, after that, if you got the Ichaival, you get your Executioner. If you didn't get your Ichaival, you already have one. And you're like, wow, I want some damage, so you get a Rage. You can get a Deathbringer first, I don't really care, but Rage is generally considered to be the better option because it gives you those consistent crits. And after that, you're going to get a Deathbringer. You don't want to get a Malice, you want to get a Deathbringer because the 50% is more damage with the Deathbringer crits, blah blah blah. After that, you're like, wow, I'm full build. No, you're not. You get to sell an item, and that's great. People are like, what? But crit, that means you're building for longer. And I'm like, yes, it means your damage continues to go up. Even in the late game, it's really good. 7th item sales are a good thing, not a bad thing. Being able to spend more gold on a hunter and not be done is very important. It's one of the things that makes the late game builds and triple crit so strong, is that you can keep spending gold. There's the thing, you sell your Ichaival, you get a mouse. But you can get a Nasi instead. If you want to get a Nasi, you get double lifesteal, and that's really good because you have 40% lifesteal plus Nasi passive, and people try to dive you, and you're like, pa, 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 pa. And you don't die, and they do, and it's great. And once again, I didn't mention Oboe, but here's the thing. Anytime after boots, you could just fucking buy an Oboe. Maybe you replace Executioner with it, maybe you replace Malice with it. I wouldn't replace Rage or Deathbringer, and that's fucking awesome. Now you have an Oboe, you're gonna do great team fight damage. And that's it. And you could buy a Fatalis too. Remember the Ichaival? Instead of that, you could just get a fucking Fatalis. Cool. You don't have to sell it late, you could just keep it. Whatever. Do you want an Executioner? You could get that. If you don't want an Executioner, you could just get triple crit anyway. That's fucking awesome. Bam. Get your maneuverability up in team fights. What if you have Fatalis and you're like, man, I want an Oboe too. Fatalis Rage Deathbringer Oboe, or Fatalis Rage Oboe Deathbringer, or Fatalis Oboe Rage Deathbringer. Wow, that's fucking awesome. You just buy an Oboe whenever the fuck you want, if you want it. But here's the thing. Don't fucking double stack. It's really bad. Anyone who tells you to double stack doesn't know what they're talking about. They think physical power is good. It is not good. Math is clearly not their strong suit. Don't fucking double stack. It's not good. You're just losing damage. Let's talk about the meme build. So here's the thing about the meme build. You start with a starter item. Death Soul or Bluestone, I don't care which. It's your choice. Bluestone's still pretty good. You might think it's bad. You're wrong. Basically, it got nerfed and nobody tried it, which really is kind of funny. It'll give you 1 ability back per wave, which I think seems about right. You're on her, you impale every wave, you get to do that for free. That's awesome. If you jump, you're going to have to hold that. You start with your Death Soul, you start with Boots 1 and 2 health potions. Now you might be like, well, cret, that's 800 gold plus 300 gold, which is 1100 plus another 100, which is 300 gold. I just have 300 gold in my inventory, and I'm like, yeah, well, you could have bought a ward if you wanted to, but you don't have to. You can just have that gold. And then when you back, you're going to be able to back 300 gold earlier than you otherwise would. And here's the thing, when you back, you're going to finish Warrior Tabi. Now, you could also go, like, Spiked Gauntlet and build the Soulstone first. You could do that if you want to. I personally prefer to build the Warrior Tabi, and the reason you're doing that is for physical power. Physical power is going to give you your ability to clear. So you're going to be able to clear the wave because of the 40 power on boots. Sweet. Then you're going to go into a Soul Eater. The Soul Eater is going to be your next item, and it's going to give you a bunch of health, a bunch of physical protection, some damage, some attack speed. The reason you got Warrior Tabi is so that the attack speed balances out if you didn't get Devil Gauntlets. And hey, you don't have to stack. That's fucking awesome. So now at this point, with Bluestone or Death's Toll boots, which are Warrior Tabi, and Soul Eater, you have the exact same amount of gold spent as a Death's Toll, Devo Tabi, Ninja Tabi build. You have the exact same amount of gold spent. You have 20 less power and 5% lifesteal, but you gain 300 health and 10 protections, which I think is a really good trade and kind of a no-brainer. But hey, you don't have to use this build because I don't give a shit what you do. Now you've already got boots, so you could just go into an Ichaival. Hey, that's awesome. And you can like 1v1 people, but you could skip the Ichaival if for some reason you just want an Executioner and you want to get your damage online sooner, or maybe you want a Fatalis, you could do that too. So, you know, whatever. So let's assume you get your Ichaival, then you're going to go into an Executioner, and after that you're going to go into a Rage or a Deathbringer, and then you're going to sell your Ichaival for a Malice. But you could also sell it for an Asi, or maybe, hey, maybe even an Oboe. Now, if you didn't go Ichaival, maybe you just want Executioner. You go Executioner, Rage, Deathbringer into a Malice, but you don't have to get a Malice, you can get an Asi, or you can get a Fatalis instead. Hey, whatever. Now, if you did go for the Fatalis, you probably want an Executioner after that, and hey, that would be fucking good. You could get an Ichaival too if you really wanted to, I guess, and in the end, you're probably going to go like Executioner, Rage, Deathbringer, or maybe just Executioner, Rage, Oboe, or maybe Oboe, Rage, Deathbringer, because at any point you could just buy a fucking Oboe, and you don't need the fucking physical power, because physical power is bad. Don't go chasing physical power. Never double stack. You're just losing damage. Now, if you do that and you think it's good and like whatever, I don't really care, but it's bad. Because physical power is the worst stat for hunters. Because it's just fucking everywhere. Any questions?